Hello, this is Joakim from Astralors, and you are watching CMS TV.
Well, here are 29 secrets or confessions and deal breakers people found while snooping through their partner's phone.
Okay.
I found a hidden folder in his phone and screenshots of other girls' Instagram stories, girls we both knew. Some were mutual friends. None of it was overtly sexual, but the captions. Now, see, this one is weird, and I have a hard time believing this story. But you tell me your thoughts.
Okay.
But the captions he added to the pics were gross. Like, she doesn't even know what I do to her. Do you think a guy would?
No one does that.
Phone?
No. Why would you put a caption? That would give it away. That if it's blank, then you can at least say that, I don't know how it got there. It must have got downloaded accidentally or something.
Who would put a caption on
No
a picture
one.
in your phone?
No one.
Nobody would do that.
Dude, that's a chick wrote this article.
Of course. Oh no, that particular
particular tip.
Yeah.
For God's sakes, when I used to download porn and my ex-wife was totally against it,
of course,
I used to burn it onto CDs, and I would write names of bands that I knew she would never put into the player.
So you had DVD or CD, DVD
oh, yeah.
of porn?
Yes. So that I could watch it late at night or whatever, and that was what I used to do is I would write, Megadeth bootleg or something on it because I knew she'd never listen to fucking Megadeth.
Of course.
So I would write like Megadeth bootleg and I would store it, and I had to keep track in my own brain where it was, what book it was in or whatnot. I was like, all right, well, Megadeth's in book 2. So, I just look for the bootleg of Megadeth or Metallica or whatever.
All right. I felt, it felt violating, not because he cheated, but because I saw a side of him that made my skin crawl. Objectifying women.
Ugh, shut up.
Women. Yeah, I guess he's not a dude then, unless you objectify women.
Well, he's not a dude unless he only cares about her.
Right, of course.
Shut up.
Objectifying women he smiled at in real life, including people I cared about, was friends with, and with whom he interacted on a daily basis. I never said a word, just quietly started planning my exit and told my friends I have not seen him since, and he deleted social, so I have no idea what happened to him.
Smart guy.
He was objectifying women.
Yeah. Now he's doing it without social media. Good for him.
Right. That's a good tip for everybody. Get off the fucking social media. I've been saying this for 15 years.
Yeah, no shit.
He had the second one here. He had a long text conversation and a history of cell phone calls lasting over an hour with his ex, who he supposedly wasn't talking to anymore. He complained about me in some of the texts, and she encouraged him to leave me. After finding that, I was with him for over a year, but never trusted him again. He still doesn't know I saw his phone. We broke up because he couldn't control his temper. That was a year ago, but it still makes me mad when I think about it. I'll never be with someone I don't trust again.
See, this is where we guys fail. Because I had a similar problem to this with my now ex-boss, where she would call me and we were friendly, but she was my boss. And I mean, you know how it goes, dude. You get a little flirty or whatever, but there was nothing going on there. But we would have some phone calls and they would be, 30 minutes or whatever. And 28 of it would be work and 2 minutes would be, what are you going to wear tomorrow? Shit like that, just goofy shit. And then if the wife asked who I was on the phone with, I would just lie. It was like, what are you doing lying? I should have just said, yeah, it was my boss. We were joking around a little bit. I would have saved myself so many problems.
I mean, it was my fucking boss.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I would have saved myself so many problems.
Yeah.
If instead of saying, oh, it was just a guy from work, which is what I would say, and then I would tell her, oh, we're just making jokes or whatever. That's what I would tell her. I'm not going to lie. If I would have just said, look, we're just fucking around. Deal with it or not. You either trust me or you don't. If I would have said that and stuck to that message, I could have saved myself 1,000 fights in my life. Not that I could have saved that marriage. That was doomed. But I could have saved myself so many problems. Guys will lie about the dumbest shit ever. Not even this kind of shit. Dude, I'll tell you a funny, dumbest story. I got a traffic ticket once for speeding. I threw the ticket. This is so dumb. I took the ticket and I did the thing where I stuck it, like I knew my court date, so I stuck it under all the trash in the trash. And of course she saw me and she's like, what the fuck is he doing? So she dug it out and she's like,
dig it out.
Yeah, of course. And make a big issue about it. She's like, what's the matter? I was like, nothing happened at all. Nothing. And then she's like, well, what about this ticket? And I'd already fucking lied about it. I was like, why am I lying about this? I got a fucking ticket. So what? Yell at me that we can't afford it and then we're done with it. That's it.
Yeah.
But instead I had to go the secret route. What was I going to do? How could that lie have ever helped?
Well, because you were trying to avoid hearing her bitch at you. See, I tell you, you're speeding all the time, and I told you drive too fast all the time. It's just like,
yeah. But trying to hide it, I mean, she would have known when I paid the $150 ticket or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We were living check to check. Somehow, some way, I was getting caught on this thing. But I was so fucking dumb. I was like, well, I guess I'll put off the fight till later or something.
You're like Howard Stern in Private Parts when Allison finds his wet underwear under the seat of the car.
Mm-hmm. Just dumb.
All right. I found a Seeking Arrangements account. He left his email logged into my phone. Why would you ever do that?
Why would you share those people? And I definitely am using those people. Nothing tells a person that you are a cuck quicker than when, especially on socials, when your social media name is like Jim and Alice or whatever. And there's so many of those people that are like, their chick trusts them so little that they have to have a shared account.
Right, of course.
You are a whipped cuck if you do that. That is the very lamest of the very lame. I have a shared Facebook page with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.